let's talk about Antonio Conte now. Obviously, his future, the fans absolutely love him, singing for him every game. Future very much up in the air, though. Contract running out end of the season. Do you think his mind's made up?
You want to go with this one first?
I don't think his mind's made up. I think what happens between now and the end of the season is going to really affect that. Imagine we win the FA Cup with him. He'll be like, do you know what? This could be something. Let me speak to Harry. Harry, you staying? I'm staying. We're staying. Let's build. You know, if Porro comes in and gets running, hang on, but I'm looking at. I've got Porro and I've got Romero. I've got Kulic, I've got Bentancur. You know, we're moving in the right direction here. I think what people have to understand is, you know, I hate when people talk about money. Oh, he's on so much money. He's a human being. He's lost 3 people in his life very close to him recently, and that makes you question everything. Life. What am I doing? I'm rich. I don't need to do this. I do this because I love it. But my family in Italy, I've got like, especially with the fitness coach. It's one of his best friends for 30 years. Has gone. He's looking around. I don't need to be in a place like this. That's why making him feel loved, and the fans have done that really well. Our away fans have been incredible in the last 2 games.
Sensational the other night. Whoever was there listening to this, well done, because that was a shit.
You could hear him. You could hear, and they're singing for the manager, and he knows he's loved. And I think that reason there, he almost wants to repay the fans because he's like, these fans deserve it. Like this club and these fans, they deserve some silverware, and we do, because we're there relentlessly, regardless of how bad it can be at times.
Absolutely. I think this week, obviously, you hear Harry Kane's post-match comments about they've had a meet, they've had a sit-down. Obviously, Antonio has had a lot of off-the-field problems, as you touched on there, with losing certain members, family, friends, whatever it might be. That's a big problem. How can you commit to a football club when you're going through off-the-field issues such as that? I think that Spurs are well on their way to back him. They've backed him a lot already. We're talking about, what is it, close to 300 million? Would it be?
Yeah, but have we actually backed him, or have we just spent 300 million? Because I think they're 2 different things.
Yeah, okay, that is a great shout. But in terms, you'd like to think that he identifies his targets with Paratici and they put that to the board and you go and get them.
Because if that was the case, that was the case, then Spence would be playing.
Absolutely.
Because Spence comes in, and we needed a right back and a centre back in the summer. Yeah. And we knew that, and everything in the press was being like, we're going to concentrate on that right back and that centre back. We're bringing Longley on loan, who's not very great, let's be honest, and Spence, who doesn't want to play.
So we're saying that, are you suggesting there that these are not Antonio Conte players?
Correct, yeah.
I'll be honest with you, I've run with that the whole season. I've had debates with numerous people. I've always been in that camp. People are trying to say, no, Antonio Conte is not going to be a Tottenham manager and not bring the players in that he wants. But as I touched on with the Basuma one, strange.
Yeah,
but you know what it is? Levy will always push his luck, because Djed Spence, again, he's looking at it going, hottest guy in the Championship. Hang about 5 years down the line, he could be my next Gareth Bale. That's how he thinks. Yeah, and what Conte's blatantly coming at the start and gone, Daniel, don't get involved in the transfers. Leave to me. Yeah, and then he's giving him that, and he's gone, I've told you, and as a protest, I will not play this guy. He will not play for me.
You think it's political?
Absolutely. Like this is a game of chess, and Antonio, who's renowned for going against boards, is saying to you, you can't mess with me, because with Antonio, he's in the driving seat, not Levy. He's like, you sack me tomorrow, it doesn't matter, because I'm still Antonio Conte.
I'm a big Antonio fan, but for me, that's been a problem.
No.
What I mean by that is that stubbornness has been an issue, because Tottenham haven't been playing well. And that problem at right wing back has been a problem all season. And we've had someone like Djed Spence who hasn't been used. And that's why.
But you don't know how good he is.
Certain Spurs fans. Yeah, but I'm not being funny. I'm telling you, I'm better than the other 2.
Yeah, but I'm telling you now, Ryan Sessegnon, who had all that behind him, unbelievable for Fulham, done this, done that, come in, he's been absolutely useless. Djed Spence could be the same. But what I'm saying is, if we get Porro, fingers crossed, Conte's protest has helped that happen, because he said, this is not an option for me. But these are my options. Because
you've written off Spence there.
I'm not writing. I'm writing him off from Conte's plans. He was never in Conte's plans, and he's like, I need someone that's made for now.
But you're totally ignoring the stubbornness.
I'm ignoring the stubbornness because I'm saying he's right. I'm backing Conte because he's in the right.
So you think he's dealt with that situation with Djed Spence very well?
If Porro comes in, then yes.
Okay, so you're going around the side of it.
I don't think he's dealt with it well, Conte. I don't think he's dealt with it well. And I think that the attributes that Spence has... Look, we don't see him week in, week out in training, so we don't know as well as Conte knows. But I do think it's a political thing. And I think what we have seen from Spence in the Championship, in cup games against Arsenal last year, wherever it may be, we've seen a quality player there. Definitely. We saw him completely destroy Arsenal's left-hand side that game. And And I don't believe that he can't be better than Emerson or Doherty. I just don't believe that.
I'm not sure that is for me. That's even the issue. The issue is he just hasn't got a look in whatsoever. He hasn't played even one start. I mean, that's not that. Like even in a cup game or anything, he hasn't had one start. That's what's been disappointing. All right, if he feels like Doherty and Emerson are more experienced and they're more fitted to play most Premier League games, that's fine. But they've been stinking the place out, and he hasn't had one start throughout the whole season. That to me is a bit disappointing.
It's very unfair on the kid. I'll say that much. It's very unfair on Djed Spence, right? But with Conte, if he's going to play the game and he's playing a game of chess with someone, he can't show any weakness. And he's got to go, this is my stance, I stick by it. Because if he goes back on it, then all of a sudden that relationship with him and Levy becomes the Pochettino relationship, where Levy calls the shots and I'm just the coach.
I agree with you. I'm an Antonio Conte fan, I am. But I'll tell you one thing, he slings the same team out in the same formation, whether it's failing or what. He don't change. He's not that manager that will go. He doesn't look at an opposition enough for me, yeah. And I can't judge what he's done. His record speaks for itself. But he doesn't look at a certain opposition enough and go, do you know what? We go this route today. We'll change it. We'll play 4 at the back, whatever it might be. To him, he doesn't. He slings the same boys out in the same formation when it's failing. He doesn't make in-game change. He don't make changes during games quick enough for me at times. And that is a problem. Like that is, and I'll be honest with you, there is a stubbornness to that.
But that's also why you don't bring in Antonio Conte without bringing in Antonio Conte players. Because if he had his players, it would be so much harder to beat. Would probably be scoring more goals. You saw at back end of last season. I know it wasn't Conte players, but one game a week with his training, we hardly conceded a goal. I don't know what's happened this year with why we're conceding so many goals.
For people who are maybe not so infused right now about Antonio Conte and about the way things are going at Tottenham, how do we explain why definitely like the last 6 months of last season we were fantastic. We won 10 of the last 14 Premier League games. I think we kept the record amount of clean sheets in the Premier League that we've ever kept with Hugo Lloris in goal. I think Hugo had a record number of clean sheets. He spent, I know you could argue whatever his players or not, we spent money on Richarlison and Basuma. He brought in Perisic, who was definitely his player. We brought in Longley, who we didn't have last season. And our defence has gotten worse, and a lot of the football has gotten worse. How is that explained? And following on to next season, is that going to, how important is it that that improves in the second half of the season if he's going to stay here?
And that's after the best part of 150 million
spent. Who are you putting that
spent.
responsibility on? So what I mean by that, are you putting that on the player to react when you're in a dip of form and start churning out better performances, or are you looking at the manager to get more out of you? Because there's a couple of managers in the Premier League who are doing fantastic at the moment. You look at Eddie Howe. Now that is someone who's getting a maximum amount of group of players, yeah? I still think Antonio Conte, you look at last year, it's quick to always hark back to last year because he's done a tremendous job with that group to get us into the Champions League. But this is this year. You can't keep going harping back to last year.
But this year,
it's this year.
If this was a business, he is on course to do the same that he did last year.
Yeah.
And so he is.
But there are players
with more obstacles in the way, with more competitions at the moment.
The funny thing is, players under his tenure that have not improved, and they're not playing
because
well.
he got the best out the worst bunch. When you got Ben Davies and Dyer, etc., and Conte should never be on the phone and having a conversation with Ben Davies. That shouldn't be happening.
Or Dyer.
Or Dyer. He shouldn't be on the phone to them. Like, you know, when he's come out and said Dyer's a great centre half, he's having a banner. He's got an Italian WhatsApp group.
Yeah.
And he goes, I'm going to tell the press Dyer's good. And he's cracking up. A banner. Look at this. Allegri's in there.
I'm going to tell them I can make him the best defender in the world.
I'll make Dyer bloody good.
I'm just a little bit surprised that a couple of players haven't really kicked on under.
Because they're not good enough.
Well, Richarlison, he hasn't scored a league goal.
But
not
he's
been
also
played in
not
his
played
position.
enough.
But he's
had injuries.
He has had a few starts, Richarlison.
Not many, though. Not
I
many.
think, what is it, 6 or 7?
Something like that, yeah.
6 or 7.
I think he's had 5 starts, 6 starts,
Yeah, but 6 or 7. You look at, as I said, you touched on Basuma. Langley hasn't really done anything.
I don't think the majority of these players are good enough. When you're looking at Hugo Lloris ain't good enough anymore. Dyer, Davis, Sessegnon, Emerson, Doherty. I mean, the list goes on.
Yeah.
The list goes on. And don't forget all these players coming back in the summer. Harry Winks, Ndombele, Giovanni Lo Celso.
You're going to see it on the socials. You know, the first day of training, they've all got the new gear on. They're all there.
Harry Winks, ladies and gentlemen. But literally, as we said, the list of who's good enough for a Champions League side is about 7.
About 7 or 8, I think.
Tops.
For a starting pot.
So it's just like, that leaves you with a lot of deadwood. So
Son's form as well has been a problem. Because you're looking at a guy that picked up the Golden Boot last year.
Yeah.
That's an issue. You know what I mean? So there's that to take into account.
It's a whole half of the season now.
Definitely.
Like, how long are we going to make excuses for?
Where are you at with it? I mean, so obviously, I'm not going to dictate your show. You tell us.
No, we can talk about it.
When does it come to the point where you say he's got to come out?
I was saying that before the Man City
out.
game.
Yeah.
Before the Man City game, I was saying, look, he's got to come out because Richarlison was back fit. I think it's time. Now Dan Juma's in, I think it's even more time.
Yeah.
I think he's got to come out of the team, take him out of the firing line for a little bit.
Just needs a little break, doesn't he? Just
Yeah.
Spanish Brian, are you a fan of him?
I like Brian, who obviously he's a bit of a twig and he gets pushed around a lot, but he's got supreme ability, man. He really does.
Yeah, Son's an interesting one. I just feel like his role. I think what's happened is, I don't know if you've realised, but Kane isn't dropping deep as much as he did last season. He's staying a lot further forward, and it's led to him scoring goals. He's got 15 Premier League goals.
I think that's Conte's doing as well.
Yeah, it's definitely Conte's doing,
brilliant.
but maybe what it's led to is Son dropping that back a bit. He's not very good in those areas.
No.
He needs to be on the last line, and that's where he was killing it. But maybe Conte feels like he needs Kane in more advanced positions now. But it doesn't seem to be working as well as it was last season when Kane was dropping deep and Son was the one pushing on.
Yeah, the chemistry's gone. The chemistry between the two that was so influential for our football club is just gone. But I look at
Although it was the Kane Son again the other night, the link up for the goal.
was.
I'll be
Yeah,
honest with
brilliant
you,
link up as well.
I could have played that pass, mate. Come on.
I've seen your pass, and I'm not sure about that.
It's not draw, mate. But yeah, I just think, Son, when you look at him in a minute, even on a 50-50, he's weak in a challenge, he's struggling with his first touch, second touch, struggling to go by a man. He just looks so
But
fast.
that energy, I think that is the energy of the team, and that's why we're all feeling that. And I think if we can get Antonio feeling pumped again, a great win against, we'll get through the FA Cup. If we can batter press the North End, you know what I mean, proper away. And then the next home game. Who's our next home game? I can't even think.
Man City.
Yeah.
Huge game to go to.
He
Imagine.
won that one.
Well, you know what? Bergwijn scored on his debut against Man City at
exactly.
home.
And
Step up Dan Juma.
And he's from the Netherlands. So, yeah, you never know. I just think we just need a new energy. And it'd be interesting to see.
I just want to ask quickly, when it comes back to Antonio Conte, the way this season has gone now, has it turned from a situation, because at the beginning of the season it was a situation where we need to do everything we can to convince Conte to stay, but with the way this season has gone, do you think for a lot of fans it's turned into a situation where Conte now has to start convincing us again that he's the right man for the job?
I think if you're a stupid football fan, yes. Like, if you know anything about football, you don't get rid of the elite manager. You don't get rid of the best manager that we've ever had, right? And that's the fact of the matter. It's just like anything in life. If someone is an expert in something and they've done more than I have to listen to them to learn. And this is where I think Daniel Levy gets it wrong, because this guy has won. Okay, he's very stubborn, but the reason why he's stubborn is I know how to win this way. This way wins. If we do it my way with the right things, then we will win. The thing that happens, and it always happens with the managers and Levy, it always comes back to a place where the eyes ain't on Levy. It's like, let's get the manager out. He's the problem. Let's sack Jose Mourinho before a final, even though the geezers won finals after finals.
I don't necessarily think it's all based on what he's done and his pedigree as a manager. I think it's also where Spurs fans get frustrated. We speak to him, we speak to loads, as you do, guys do. It's the rapport with the manager. Doesn't seem to be one at the moment. You look at Arsenal again. You compare your mate. You're talking about Arsenal.
No rapport. That's
You're looking at Arsenal. He really wants to manage that football club. The players want to really play for that football club. You've got a manager at Tottenham who comes out and sort of says, "Don't know if you're seeing things." Reports that he's definitely leaving at the end of the season. Some people, when they see reports out and hear things out, they just go, "Let's get this manager out now."
But then,
if he ain't interested in staying at Tottenham, get something.
Then you see the pump at the end of Fulham.
I'm not saying that's what my view is. But you have to take it all into account. That's what some Spurs fans dislike.
Do you get a sense that maybe he has an air of, I'm doing you a lot of favour being
Yes,
here?
absolutely. Yeah, I do. Basically, I've said it before, he's like, say if it was your power, like, he's the buff girl that you could not get. And she's always reminding you, I've got bare man on my phone, you know. They're messaging me. They want me, you know. And you're like, let's go TGI Fridays and have a cocktail. Like we do pander to him. But he's a great, great manager.
Definitely.
And the fact of the matter is, if we can settle him and go, here's 3 years, you know, because Ten Hag is doing his thing there. They're going to get better and better. Arteta's done a great job over there. Like, Chelsea ain't there yet. They ain't got a manager.
They'll get there.
But they'll get there when I think it'll be Simeone that comes into there personally.
Really?
Yeah. And then you look at, like, Liverpool with Klopp. They're at crossroads. They don't know, does Klopp go again and go, let's try and rebuild, because there's a rebuild job at Liverpool to be had there with midfield and everything else. If Liverpool go and get Jude Bellingham and stuff like that, then they're on the way back up straight away. But with Spurs, it's like, if we lose Conte, it's going to be, it is back to the drawing board again. We keep doing this as Spurs as a club. We evolve and then we go backwards. We evolve, go backwards. It started, Jacques Santini come in.
Yeah, but that might not be in the club's hands.
Huh?
That might not be in the club's hands. The manager might just not want to stay at Tottenham.
But what I'm saying is, everything is... 500 plus days of Pochettino not getting another signing in during that time when we were... This is what I say, Arsenal, yeah? They didn't need Trossard. They went and got him and paid the money that Brighton wanted for him. Instantly involved in the goal on Sunday. He's already got 8 Premier League goals this year for Brighton, and they've strengthened that position. They didn't need to strengthen that position.
That's what top clubs do.
Top clubs strengthen...
Over and over again, and that's what... Basically, what Arsenal are doing now, they're learning from the mistakes that we went wrong under Pochettino. We were at the top, and Daniel Levy told us, oh, this team can't be strengthened. We can't buy players to strengthen this team, even though we're bringing on Nkudus and Njis and all these kind of players, you know what I mean? Kevin Wimmers and all that. Like,
own goal against Arsenal.
Like we had the opportunities to strengthen those squad. We didn't make a signing for 18 months, I think it was. I mean, it's not good enough. And you look back at the team
that
now.
That thing's got to go. Isn't it? When does that thing turn off?
Popular. My life don't turn off. This is, see, yeah, a little glimpse of it.
You look back at now, and Gaz asked, what's the problem at Spurs now? Is Antonio the Conte the problem? Is it the players are the problem? Is it Daniel Levy and the board that's the problem? I think everyone's got a piece of the blame of the problem right now at Tottenham Hotspur. But I think ultimately it goes back to the ownership every single time for me. Every single time.
Well, look at recruitment, for example, right? Tottenham spent a bit. If you're one of them that argues Daniel Levy's spent money, and I've had that thing, he has spent a bit of money, but the recruitment's not gone right. It's been poor. There's too many players that have not been success stories. But that's on him because he employs the team to make the decisions and to bring in the players that Tottenham identify. If it goes wrong, it goes back to you.
Yeah.
The buck has to stop with him.
Nobody can tell me what.
He's the chairman. He's in control of the purse strings.
Nobody can tell me since Poch has left what the plan has been at this football club.
Yeah.
Nobody can. Do you know?
There hasn't been.
It hasn't been. Try and get elite managers in and see what they can do.
I've said it.
Work some magic.
I said it before when when Jose came in. Jose Mourinho was Daniel Levy's fantasy. So he was the girl. No. So they went to school together. She was the cheerleader, high school prom queen, and all that. He could never get her. He's old enough now, but she's been around the house. He's got 4 kids, and she just doesn't look the same. Yeah, and he's like, I finally got with her.
4 kids.
Yeah, and she's like, terrible. You don't want to be with her now. Terrible. It's done. So he's like, oh god, the fantasy's gone wrong. Then it was like, what do we do now? Oh, Ryan Mason, jump in quickly. Then it took him how long to get Nuno in? Like to go from
72 days
Jose Mourinho to Nuno, and then that goes wrong. He had to go and then buy Conte to keep the wolves from the door, so to speak. But you've got Conte in who comes with all these demands. He's bought a Ferrari and go, I've got no money for petrol. Like, okay, and this is what I'm saying in terms of backing him. Not Bruno Fernandes is a tremendous player. He could be at our club right now. Jack Grealish could have been at our club right now. And these are all on Levy. These ones are all on him Trossard could be at our club right now.
Dybala.
Yeah, these are all things that are on Daniel Levy because he doesn't want to pay the money. £12 million we offered Brighton for Trossard. Do you know what £12 million buys you? Yunus Kabul in 2007. Yunus Kabul in 2007. Imagine that. Imagine going to Brighton and going to offer you the same money we paid for Yunus Kabul in 07.
It's interesting what the agent of Trossard said as well.
Yeah.
Obviously, Tottenham humming and ahhing and Arsenal coming 24 hours later.
Wait that.
That's a problem. And
it's
that's
embarrassing.
What frustrates Spurs fans.